Hello, everyone. We have returned. Let's make sure we can hear a Kari. Kari,
Hello.
can we all hear Kari?
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello. Hi. Hi,
Hello.
everybody.
Hi. I see a Taparto's in chat. Angel
Ah,
Devilson.
ah.
Gamer Realm, welcome, everyone. All right, great. Look, I'm getting better at this. I'm getting much better
You're
at this.
awesome. You're awesome,
Thanks.
Ron. You're awesome at
Kari,
everything.
welcome to the Dungeon Cooldown, and all of
Thank you.
you. Ron is quiet. Okay, I'm a little quiet. Great. I can make that easy. That's something we can solve pretty quickly. Ron is a loud person. Now it's probably too loud. Welcome everyone to the Dungeon Cooldown. I am your host today, along with here, lovely Kari Cartwright. Welcome, Kari.
Hello. Hi,
Back to
guys.
the Dungeon Cooldown. Today
So
we'll be
nice.
talking about episode 17. We'll answer some questions from all of you. If you're a part of any of our communities, including on Patreon or our unofficial Discord, I'm still confused at which one it is. You can certainly post your questions on the Patreon post for this specific cooldown. You can post them in our Discord on the non-spoiler discussion channel, or you could even post them here in chat while we continue forward. Kari, how is your beautiful Martin Luther King Jr. Day going?
It's going okay. It's been a lot of it's been a lot of handyman stuff.
Ooh.
We manage a building, and so the handyman is here to fix all the things that the rain ruined.
Oh, here I thought you were doing all the handyman stuff.
No, but I could.
I bet you could. I believe it. I believe that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I did a lot of that in college. I did a lot of set building in college. So I learned a lot about how to cut wood and use tools and all that kind of stuff. So
And measure twice.
measure
So
twice.
cut once.
That's right. Measure twice, cut once. That's absolutely right. I do a lot of measurement now with obviously the 3D printing and all that kind of stuff.
Did you get to paint the sets too? Because you're so awesome at painting.
I did on occasion get to paint the sets. They were a little different than how you paint now, but how I paint now, a lot. But
Was it just with like fingers and pudding before?
Right, before it's just all hand finger paint.
Yeah,
just finger painting.
Yeah.
And they had to make it like the non-toxic paint because I'd always just eat and paint.
Of course.
Gamer Realm says Coco would be perfect for the job, and I think that's right. I think Coco probably has some pretty good painting skills. I would say.
Yeah, I think so. Building, painting.
Spending the vast majority of your 400 years in this on a planet in the Fey realms probably makes you pretty good at color. I would imagine.
Yeah.
So welcome everyone. As we said, this show would not be possible without our patron supporters. So if you are one of our Patreon supporters, thank you very much. And if you are not, please consider joining us. We have a variety of tiers, including recently released at the $25 tier, a new coloring book by Serena Marie,
yes.
from the viewpoint of Otto.
It's so great, you guys. Get it.
Yes, you should get it. The Dungeon Speedrun says, so Ron's why we can't have lead minis. In part, yes. I think the reason we can't have lead minis is probably lead. And just, it's highly toxic to the human body. So I'm glad we don't have lead minis anymore. I'll tell you that. Yes, Angel Devilson, Otto's coloring book is so incredibly cute. I cannot wait to see the next pages. And Serena is such a talented artist.
So good.
Yeah, it caught me off guard. I didn't know that about her. And then when I started seeing some of her art, I was just like, I mean, it makes sense that she's talented, but it was just like, oh wow, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So if you have not yet seen any of Serena Marie's art, you should check her out on Twitter and all of her socials, as well as join our $25 tier. So having all that said, Kari.
You can call me Coco.
I guess I could call you Coco, huh?
Yeah.
Kari, so tell me a little bit about how you feel about last episode.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I had so many feels after that episode was over. Did you as well, Ron? Were you like,
I have feels off every episode.
Okay.
Especially because but that one specifically, that one and the one prior were both very sort of gripping the seat, you know, as a
Yeah.
DM, even just gripping the seat, because you don't know what your players are going to choose. And as you all saw, some of the stuff that we set up for Jared and I set up for you guys, you know, some of it we're setting up, we're like, oh, that'll never happen. They'll be fine. They'll get this. They'll get that. Let me tell you all, that is not true. And next time you DM, you should be very careful about what you put in, because sometimes you can get your players in where you don't necessarily want them to be. Now, granted, I think some of it was also they got themselves there and did pretty well about getting yourselves out as well.
I want to know where did we go that you guys weren't expecting? I'm so curious.
We expected you to get the riddle correct.
Oh, well, I mean, hello. I looked back at that video and I was like, God, it's so obvious. Like, it's so obvious.
You know, adding the timer, I think, really changed how that played out. And just giving you a time limit made your brains work differently. And I think that was a little bit of it, for sure.
I did like the question, though, that, like, would it have been better if the clock was counting up?
Oh, yeah.
Like, Morgan was having such a hard time with it.
Yeah.
No, you know what's interesting, just as a player, I was frustrated as a player after the last episode, because, you know, as improvisers, we want to inform the decisions that we make, and we're a very nice party. So in hindsight, though, like, I was thinking about it and I'm like, I'm actually really grateful that Jess made such a strong, bold choice, because it is conflict to a certain extent, which is both good and not great. But like, it just kind of made me sort of dial in Coco a bit more. So I'm grateful. I'm really grateful, because, you know, I was thinking about why it was frustrating for me as a player, and then trying to kind of like think, how is this frustrating for Coco? You know what I mean? So I'm excited to kind of see where this goes. I think it's, you know, other than with Drek, it's maybe in a couple moments with like Val or something. I think it's kind of the first time I really felt strongly against or for something, like really strongly. And so I was like, oh, there I am. I was like, yeah. So I'm grateful. I'm really grateful. As frustrating as it was for us as players, you know, because we were like, what? No.
What? No, that's the worst decision. Why would we?
Yeah.
For sure. And can totally understand some of that kind of frustration. But what I really enjoy, especially about role-playing, and improvised role-playing specifically, is that when characters, even if it's not your character, if someone else's character makes a strong choice, it gives you a lot of options to make choices of your own. And that's really a gift, I think, that Jessica gave.
It was a total gift, and it took me, like, I had to do a lot of writing about it to kind of like suss out where I am and where Coco, it kind of, you know what I mean?
Great.
So I hope really that's not TMI.
No, not at all. Why would that be TMI? I love that you have to like write about it in, you know, and think about it before you really feel one strongly or one way or the other. I think that's great player work. So thank you for doing that. Yeah, no, thanks.
It definitely was like, gosh, why didn't I do this sooner, kind of a thing. And
for sure,
it's just been interesting. So I know that the community was a little frustrated with Jess's choice, but I'm really grateful for it, and I'm actually kind of excited to see what the party does with it.
Well, I think that's a good segue to our first question that we have from our Patreon, which comes from Tapartos.
Hello,
Tapartos has a question for me and then also one for you. So I'll go first since it's related to what you were talking about. How surprised were you that the party went along with Saint on her mission to just go see her sister no matter the cost? I was surprised. Largely, I was surprised, I think, because it indicated that Hanging Gardens wasn't that far away. In fact, you were already sort of on the edge of that biome of where it exists. And, you know, I don't want to reveal too much of what was said in the secret room with Jess, but it was I thought as the DM that it was fairly clear that Saint had been found and was safe. That seemed clear to me, or at least was found and not in immediate danger.
Wait, that Saint was?
Excuse me, Sansa.
Oh, Sansa. Okay.
Sansa. I thought it was pretty clear that Sansa had been found and that was not an immediate gotta go find her right now danger. But I'm not surprised in that Saint's response to finding her sister is, I need to see her as quickly as possible, especially considering the last time she talked to her via a sending, she had no clue who she was. So that made sense to me. It surprised me, but made total sense. What she was willing to give up to get there, I mean, excited.
Is it high risk, high reward?
I mean, I'm I'm excited because it's a strong choice, and it's one that's not necessarily made with strategic benefit to it, which I love as a storytelling device, right? Like you're making a specific choice that isn't the best choice because it's character motivated, and that's what we want from the start. So I'm super excited about that. But there's going to be consequences, as there are with any decision, especially when you're dealing with someone that I'm not saying that he is, I'm just using the words that the party used when you made a deal with the devil.
Yeah, I did not want to make that deal.
I know. I could see that.
Yeah.
And even when you got by the way, I wanted to say that the little aside with Mammut, thank you for that. That was so sweet. I enjoyed that a lot.
I did too. Mammut's so sweet. I love all your characters. They're so great.
And that one I just sort of, Jared made Mammut. It was Jared's, when I was out for the wedding, when Mammut was first introduced. That was all Jared. I knew about the mammoth. I didn't know its name. I knew it was intelligent, but didn't know, to the extent of what it was. So when you can see it in the last episode, Jared puts his hand on my shoulder, indicating to me subconsciously, maybe not subconsciously, maybe pretty explicitly, that I get to be Mammut. And I love that. I was like, yes, I get to be Mammut. So it was interesting when you decided as Coco, and makes sense, you can speak with animals, so it makes sense that you would be the one to do it, but have that conversation with Mammut about, well, hey, is there something that you can help me with that, your master may not? Also, I love that it's not clear on who's the actual one in charge, whether it's Mammut or Failshin. It's not real clear.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
But I do have a question for you, and then I'll ask you Partos' second part of the question.
Sure.
How are you feeling about Slushy and his quickness to snuggle up next to Failshin?
Oh gosh, it made me so uncomfortable. Sorry, it made Coco very uncomfortable.
For sure.
Because it was so, it was instinctual. He's a dog, and his intelligence level is like medium, right? Yeah. It's not like,
think of it like a young child is his intelligence level.
Yeah, and that's funny. I remember I was reading some like D&D boards or something, and people were talking about like, if you have a pet, you have to feed it, you have to take care of it, you have to like water it like a real pet. Right. And I haven't been able to like figure out when to like work that kind of thing in, because we're not even really eating. So I'm like, is that something that happens? And I guess the answer is probably it can happen, or it doesn't have to happen. Right. But yeah, maybe it's one of those things where it's like TV land, where nobody talks about like regular human bodily functions.
Yeah, like we don't talk about using the restroom, which I want to say, you've done that a couple times now where you're like, I got to go off on my own. And people are like, why? And you're like, I got to use the bathroom. And it's like, that is the perfect reason that no one ever uses to go off on their own. And I love that you actually are anticipating, and because that's true, right? Like, though we may not be watching it like you wouldn't on a TV show where people eat just because to eat, if they're eating, there's a purpose for their eating. And we have that because we are telling a story. But I love that you bring that back into it when you need it as a thing to do the story. And please continue to do that. I love that you do that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that it made me very uncomfortable as Coco, that Slushy was, because it was like, oh, you're eating this meat. I don't know what that meat is. I didn't eat it. And they're just like willy-nilly giving it to you. And it, Theotian's vibe is not giving something just out of the goodness of his heart. Right. So I'm a little nervous about it. I like half sort of hope that it makes Slushy grow really big, really fast. Like, Because I was thinking about like, when does he grow? I was thinking, because I want to ride him.
You want to mount. That's what you want.
Yes.
I got it. Okay.
Yes. Oh, is that
I'll
what
keep
it's
this
called
in
in
mind. I'll
D&D?
keep this in mind.
Mounts?
You want to use mounts. Yeah.
Okay, mounts. Okay. Is there like a certain number of mounts you can have? Is it like
it's kind of this. There's not like a certain number of mounts you can.
Okay.
But if you were walking down the road with 10 different horses behind you, that's a whole different situation. But just to give you an example, in season 1, Algo had a mount. His mount was a bear.
Oh, so you call them mounts. I see.
I think that's just the gamer terminology.
Okay.
And
hey guys, I'm learning and I love it. Give it to me.
that D&D uses, like mounts and battle and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
If you want to start fighting on the back of your mount, that will require some feats that you will eventually need to take.
Okay.
We can have that conversation anytime you want.
Oh, well, I cannot wait to take these feats.
As long as Slushy doesn't like for Slushy to get big and you want to ride him, I will keep that in mind.
Hopefully Slushy doesn't die from whatever this meat is. This magical spicy meat.
Nothing like a little magical spicy meat to get the blood pumping, that's for sure.
Well, you guys were describing the meat so beautifully that I was like, oh my gosh, that meat is dangerous. It's just very bad.
If we're putting time into the description of it, probably not that great for you. I think it was identified eventually, even by you. I think it might have by someone, but that it was whale. Oh, maybe he identified that it was whale.
Yeah.
We do have one question for you related to what we were talking about before, Kari, from Tapartos. After getting out of the labyrinth, why do you think Grimora and Capre just stopped chasing the party? They would assume that they could have either flew over the wall or went through it pretty easily, but didn't. So why do you think it is that Grimora and Capre did not follow?
I sort of assumed that the labyrinth was sort of like not a portal, but like a closing of a gate. And I just assumed that they needed to sort of regroup themselves. But there was some kind of magical energy happening in that labyrinth that I was like, oh, something's keeping them from this. And also, I mean, just as a player, it's like, this is a natural place to rest the game a little bit. Like, just even though we went straight into like crazy drama of like, let's go, let's eat this meat and let's go. And like, let's travel through a storm in the dark. Like,
indeed. Well, I think that's very sharp of you. At one point I did indicate that when you left the labyrinth, the daylight sort of quickly moved to sunset, which indicated to you that there was some sort of magical effect within the labyrinth. So I think that's very prescient and very smart of you to sort of tie those two together.
Oh, thank you.
Because I think that I could say one way or the other, but the way I'll put it is, I think you might be onto something there. Is the way I'll put that.
But it did make me wonder. I'm like, oh, were they real? There's just like that question of like, do holograms exist? Like, what are we fighting here? Like, I don't really know what anything is. And I think that's kind of fun to question it, because I guess it could be anything.
and from someone who spent their entire life lost in the Feywild, I think that would be very, very perfect for you to wonder, especially since Coco was suffering from hallucinations within the labyrinth itself. So very natural to go that direction. Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know that I connected that the hallucinations were like caused by the labyrinth magic or whatever. Oh, interesting. Okay. I love it.
I think the hallucinations itself were caused by, if I remember correctly, the labyrinth curse.
Yeah. I couldn't remember what it was called. I know it came from a viewer or something like that. It came from all the wonderful gifts that people are giving us.
That would be the fruit curse. Then that was a fruit curse.
Okay.
The Dungeon Speedrun says there has been a dreamlike quality the last couple episodes, and I'm glad that you caught on to that, Dungeon Speedrun, because that was a little bit of on purpose. So I'm glad that.
If you were in this dream dungeon speed run, would you just like really want to wake up, or like what would you have wanted to get done while you were still in that dream?
Good question.
I'm interested.
Not only do we take questions, we ask the audience questions too.
I have so many questions for our audience. Like, I would just love to ask them so many questions.
So let's see. We've got another question from our community on the
Yep.
Discord. Let me bring that up real quick. I don't have it on my computer because it dings and would interrupt this particular stream if I did that. So, from Johnny Valentine.
Oh, I see.
It's not a question, but a tip for Kari.
I love it. I love it.
Kari, a reminder that now that you're a level 5 ranger, you have 2 attacks per round. So make sure to double tap them enemies.
Yeah.
Because you did a good hit on the boss, and just want to make sure you get another one.
Wait, on the last session you used your bow on the BBEG?
big bad evil gal or guy.
Oh, okay. And got good hit, but then didn't shoot them again. Okay. Remember, you can double tap enemies. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay, and here's a question for Ron.
Yep.
From Johnny Valentine. Did we already do this?
No, we didn't. I was just
okay.
Go ahead.
Question for Ron: if the party teleported to the Hanging Gardens, does that mean they're now further away or closer to Ursula's location?
Well,
interesting.
Last where we left off with Ursula, as I don't care if you've had a chance to watch that yet, but you should, because it'll help you, especially as a character going forward. Last where we left Ursula off, she was at Atos Peak, and that would mean they are closer to Ursula than they were before, as between sort of Hanging Gardens is between Atos Peak and Minos Valley. Probably if you moved south, a hard south by southeast would be where the Atos Peak is from Minos Valley. And so nestled right in between that are the rolling hills, and inside the rolling hills is the Hanging Garden, which is where you are all headed towards.
I'm so excited to see Ursula again.
I am as well. I'm excited for all of you to see Ursula again. I have a question for you, Kari. And if any of you there watching right now have any questions, please feel free. Drop them here in the chat for us. Kari, I have a question for you.
Sure.
What do you think it is that Saint gave up when she agreed to Faelshin's deal?
What do I think? Well, wasn't it that she was agreeing to an anytime favor? An anytime anything favor?
He specifically identified in the language of the contract the power of the sparrow.
Oh, that's right. Oh, gosh. I don't know what that's going to do. Oh, because the sparrow was... Okay.
Her little wing stuff. As far as you know, it was that wing stuff that you experienced her doing.
Wonder what he's going to use that for. I guess because I don't really know what the power of the sparrow does yet.
Right. So I would love for you to speculate right now. I want to hear what your speculation is.
Oh, gosh.
This is what I love. I love these types of questions for players. I love them.
What do I think it is? I mean, it's obviously I would say it would be to help him, but he doesn't seem to need that. I think it's that he can barter for something else. But I don't really know what he wants. I don't really, except for a collector of things. So I don't really know what he'd be wanting to get from somebody. He doesn't seem to want like eternal life or like, anything like that. So
his outward motives beyond I want to make deals is fairly hidden. That is true. Jared has been keeping that pretty close to his chest for sure.
Well, maybe Coco will have questions next time.
Oh yeah, nice.
We see each other. Gosh, I don't know. I just assume it's a favor for somebody else. It's a favor.
It's a favor for a favor, like he's
using her as a tool for
I like that one. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Gamer Realm has a question for you, Coco.
Okay.
Would you like Slushy to be an elemental mount or more primal?
What's an elemental mount?
Elemental, as in, would you like him to go more towards his cold aspect of him, or more of the wolf aspect of himself?
Probably wolf aspect. Wouldn't wolf also cover cold?
In this case, it might, because he is essentially a winter wolf, and they're kind of hand in hand. But I think what Gamer Realm is really asking is, are you looking at that in terms of, do you like the fact that he's a wolf? Do you like it more that he's elemental, or is it a mixture of the two, or what?
I guess I don't fully understand the elemental part of it, other than I know what the elements are, and I know he's a winter wolf, but I guess I don't really know the full power of what an elemental Do
Well,
they change or morph or anything?
winter wolves have ability at when they are fully grown. They have the ability to breathe cold cones of breath. Some of them can grow ice-like spikes. There's a variety of different ways. Like maybe if you decide to go a little bit more elemental with that aspect, he could run really well on ice. There's a variety of things that could eventually be revealed or unlocked depending on how you treat it and what you decide you want to go about doing.
Interesting. I never really even considered that he couldn't run very well on ice. That as like a bonus thing. Interesting though, like it would be really cool. I don't know how cold the other places are going to be. I mean, we seem to hit ice every like third location, so I don't know. um,
We are moving further south, and that it's
yeah.
getting warmer and warmer as we
Yeah.
move that
Do you
direction.
have to choose and can you switch? Is it
Um,
just how you play it? Do I have to like announce it? Like
no,
he's okay.
I think it's just more of what they want to know what your preference is. It's not like you have choices and
Yeah. Yeah.
trees
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
choose from like a video game. I think it's just more of like for flavor of story, what would you prefer?
Mm. Well, I mean, it's handy dandy, like if we're in cold weather, to be able to like make things like spikes and things because you can like help protect the party or stab something, or like just block somebody. But now, yeah, we are going south, so that's probably not the most helpful. Oh, I hope my little wolf is going to be okay. It's going to be so hot.
Dungeon Speedrun says JLP didn't seem clear on what happened in her secret room. How do y'all handle that? Above tabletop, keep playing and find out, etc. It wasn't exactly clear. Dungeon Speedrun, absolutely. I think there was some purposefulness to that. That there was some hidden stuff there, more because there was a pressing matter for JLP to get to. And how we handle that will be just like you would when you don't actually know things in real life. Ask, try to find out, research, think, ponder, go to the person who gave you that and ask them. And I think there was kind of a little bit of a punting down the road for that, if you recall during the secret room, guys, where he or it gave her some options on how to figure that out going forward. And I'm being vague on purpose because we have a player in the
Of
room
course.
who I'm not trying to give too much away to. And then, frankly, delicious. Not really a question, but a comment.
By the
I
way,
found
that's an amazing handle.
frankly delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. I found the lack of curiosity in contracts consequences unrealistic. I don't know that I agree with you there, Frank. Not because there wasn't any dealing of there was discussions of the consequences, and that it wasn't really a lack of curiosity. I think they got the feeling that they weren't going to get much information from Failshin, so it was sort of like, why go down that path when we know we're not going to get an answer on that? But I do also think some of that was driven by the immediacy of the need, at least in the view of Saint. And I thought the immediacy of the need for Saint was a strong choice. I thought it was a strong choice. It was a believable choice for me. And there were some warnings given, and despite those warnings given, continued. And I like those choices. That's a strong choice the character decided to make. The consequences of all your choices is what D&D is about. And I think maybe we will start to see that in the next couple of episodes or two on the consequences of Saint's choice here.
I would like to add a little something. I think that's a great question or a great comment, because that's how it felt. It felt like there wasn't enough justification for Coco,
Sure.
Because I've not heard anything about their sister, and so that just tells me Coco needs to ask more and not settle for just the regular old run-of-the-mill answer, that there actually needs to be an answer that connects to my own need or my own compassion for this character who is a friend. But it's interesting, like you think about TV, like you're following a character and they make a crazy bonkers choice. But as a viewer, you kind of know why they're making it. And even though they're not maybe letting other people know why, you kind of know. But I feel like what we were hearing a little bit from the community was that they were not along for that ride quite yet. But I have a feeling that you will be. It'll just take the other it'll take the other players for us to either draw it out or not settle for just a regular answer. You know what I mean? Like, we need to really dig when we can. And so,
and I think the community was feeling the same thing that you, as Coco, and even Val, before, you know, he was sort of convinced the other way, started to
compelled,
feel, which is which is like, I get it's your twin sister, but the reason to get there right now, to me, doesn't seem very clear. Can you help me clarify that? And I thought that was handled. There was some back and forth and some communication, and it was clear that Saint, whether she was thinking clearly or not, they were thinking about their sister. And I love that you brought up TV shows and movies, because there are so many times that characters, they're flawed, right? Characters are flawed just like human beings. And when we watch, it's real easy for us to sit in a seat with no danger and go, that's the wrong decision. But how many times have you been in the moment, dealing with all the emotions that are going on? You also have to remember, Saint just got out of a labyrinth where she died, like literally had her heart pierced through her chest, came back to life in the front of all of you, had a conversation with someone, leaves this place, now imbued with a new power she did not know how to use or what it was, and given the opportunity to immediately find her sister without looking or without worrying about anything else. To me, flawed choice. Of course, a flawed choice, but still a strong one. Still a strong choice, despite it being flawed. And I think that's kind of the minutia of the conversation, at least that I see in our community, is, well, okay, it is a flawed choice, and there are better options, and you didn't have to, and there are a lot of other options. That's true. But Saint had emotions in that moment and made a choice based upon them. And I don't know about you guys, but I've made some pretty emotional decisions in my life, and they weren't always the most strategic at that moment. And so that's where I related to the choice being made. Look, if my brother was in danger and I knew it, and I could get to him right away, I would give up my left knee. You could cut my leg off immediately, as long as you're going to get me to my brother if I know that he's in danger. That's my real decision-making in an emotional aspect. I love my brother that much that I will go through great lengths of pain to make sure that he is okay. And that's where I related to Satan.
But then also, as a party, it's like, you know, we're playing a game. So what I was meaning earlier about saying, like, we're a very nice, kind party to each other, is that I think the kind choice would have been like, okay, let's have Crystal Ball make us his little tower, and we sleep in it, we bathe, we eat, we rest, and then we go first light. But then the show would have been over, and you guys would be like, oh, they're like resting, and then we're going to be journeying. You know, there was this real gift, as frustrating as it was as both player and character, to be like, what? You're not like listening. You're not actually giving me any new information. Because Coco's all about like instinct, and the instincts are just like, this guy is a scam artist, and my dog's eating this meat, and I don't even know what that's about. And then, like, you know what I mean? And it's, the storm is coming, and it's like everybody's very angry. It's just very interesting. So I hope that, as frustrated as the community seemed to be with that choice that Saint made, that you felt at least a little bit represented in the questioning that Coco had, with like the reasoning why we shouldn't and why should we, and you know, that type of a thing. So I don't think Coco's gonna let that go. Yeah,
shouldn't. And I think if Coco did, given that you were so strongly, Coco was so strongly opinionated, you know, I think that if Coco sort of just stepped aside and didn't have anything to say afterwards, wouldn't feel one, it wouldn't feel real to the decision that was made, and two, I think that would be a loss of a choice on your own, right? Like if you didn't go down that route. And I thought that Coco's point of like, hey, we're all tired. I don't know about you, but I don't make the greatest decisions when I'm tired. So maybe we should rest and then think about this decision, and hint, hint, also maybe give us some time to talk about it without prying eyes, and then go from there. I think that was a strong counter choice by Coco. And so I expect, as DM, I fully expect you to continue that afterwards once we see what we begin to see what the consequences are of that decision. Hello, welcome, happy accident, welcome. We're glad that you have started to enjoy D&D. I have been playing for many, many years of my life. Kari is fair.
I'm a noob.
She's over here. Kari is very new, so probably can share a lot with you in that way. But Kari, at this point, you've been getting caught up pretty quick.
And I think too, I'm just trying to, I think, invest a bit more curiosity in the game. So it's interesting when you play a character that doesn't really know. I had to make some different decisions as to why Coco doesn't know so much, and try and work that in. And I can't say that this bonkers choice that Saint made didn't have an effect on Coco, and it was really helpful.
Fair, I think Frank brings up a very good point where Coco isn't necessarily sitting in the choice-free chaos seat, it's all fun until you get a favor where you have to return the crown of Queen Mab. So I think there's a little bit of, I think Coco has an opportunity also to take this decision-making to heart as well in their own decision-making. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. It was like, while you were having that conversation, in my mind I'm going, but Coco, worms. It's literally why I brought it up with Mammut, right? It was like, but you're worms though.
But I'm so curious. I want to know more about what you kind of mean with that, but can you go back to what Frankly Delicious was saying? It's
all fun to get a favor until you have to return the crown of Queen Mab.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. This is what we also have to find out. I didn't sign that contract.
No, you did. Well, you might want to go back and watch your episode 0. You might want to go watch that episode 0.
Oh, well, I signed that original contract, but what I'm saying is the one with Aocean. I didn't sign that contract.
No, you didn't.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
No. I was just identifying that there's a parallel there, right? There's a parallel. Favor with a greater power, kind of, is the concept we're playing a little bit with. And I love that you had, you yourself having sort of agreed to a favor for different circumstances. Obviously, the circumstances of the favor are very different, but there is that parallel, and that's all I was drawing. I think Frank was drawing that parallel, and I think that's a strong parallel.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And also, that also was maybe not the best decision,
Yeah, so, I mean, of course, right? Like that's I think what we're talking about here. If this show was you made the best decision every time, it would be boring.
It would be
no
so
one
boring.
would want to watch it, right? Like no one wants to watch where everything goes well. Like that's just
not. And frankly, this is a really interesting point, sort of turning point for the party, because this is the first choice we've actually almost gotten to make together, or not really together. Because the other things have been like, oh, we're fighting now. There have been a couple times where we're like, I guess we go and find this, the bee colony or like whatever, and I guess we do this. But they were like almost, I don't know, it didn't feel as heavy and as stakes high as this one did. So.
Well, and I think you're starting to feel that transition in the story as well, right? You're going a little bit away from, well, we are just dealing with the surviving the things around us. And now going, okay, now we've got a little control here and we know a little more. What can we start to take back as our own and start making decisions? And so it seems to me that the first time that you actually get that back, making not the strongest choice, or not the strongest, it was a strong choice, but not the best optimal choice, is certainly reflective of reality, I would say.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So, yes, happy accident, and all of those that are watching here. Hello, Kai Almighty. Thank you for stopping by. We do have a tier on our Patreon where you could play, possibly, with Morgan Peter Brown once. I believe he plays it. Is it once a month? Twice a month?
I think so. Once a month. I think.
Where you could possibly play a game where Morgan DMs. So you should definitely check that out on our Patreon. All right, we got about 15 minutes left.
All right.
Let me see if we got any more questions in our Discord. Angel Leviston says it's wicked fun, and you know that it's really fun when it's wicked fun. You know, it's wicked smart, wicked fun. Wicked.
Yeah.
Fun. All right, we got any questions out there? Here's one. I have one for you, Coco. Kari.
Okay.
Do you have any questions for me?
Like as the DM, or just you as Ron? Like, hey, what did you
Either
eat
way,
last
up
night?
to you. Totally up to you, but I assumed DM.
It's more of a personal question.
Okay, I love personal questions.
Okay, but it's also about you DMing.
Okay, love that.
Do you get frustrated with us?
Do I get frustrated with you?
Yeah.
I don't ever really get frustrated with. I try my best not to get frustrated with people because I am a people, and I know that sometimes when people are frustrated with one another, it's more to do with miscommunication than anything else. And so for me, I always like to communicate. I get frustrated with situations because you can't communicate yourself out of a situation, right? Like I can't communicate with the situation, so I'm not going to get out of it that way. I have not been frustrated with you as players. No.
Okay.
No. Have I been frustrated with decisions that characters have made? Yes, of course. Just because, and I think there's even a bit of me that was a little frustrated with the decision that Saint was making, but I think that was intentional. I think that was an intentional choice by Jessica as Saint to sort of throw that into the mix. I think that was intentional. And I thought that was a gift. Again, I will say it again. I thought that was a real gift for all of us because it mucks things up a bit. It makes it dirty. I don't know, dirty. It makes it messy. And messy is great for drama.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because sometimes I feel like I can feel your guys' frustration, but I don't know if it's because because we've just thwarted your grand plans and you have a whole set made that we're supposed to go to that we're totally not going to go to at all.
No, we've had this conversation in season 1 with Jeff because we had similar, and Jeff, I think, was very good about no, I'm not frustrated, but it is hard, right? It makes our jobs harder if we set a thing up and then you just don't go there. It certainly does make that hard. But here, at the end of the day, we're playing an improvised game. You guys go where you want. We will make it work.
It really says a lot about you and Jared that you guys are able to pivot so beautifully, while we're going, and also interesting that you guys have pretty good communication, seemingly, that you guys really play off of each other really nicely, and it's really lovely. So
I think that's just more of Jared and I have been friends now for a while, and we've had hard discussions as friends, about just life in general and things that you don't necessarily talk to random people about. But also being able to role play the way that we did and spending time as Ugo and Civ like we did, there's a lot of trust that we learned there. And it just sort of naturally has filled very well into the DM role, I think. And I really appreciate that. We try, I can speak for myself. I say we. I'm going to speak for myself. Okay. Jared can speak for himself. I try really hard with Jared. We talk about trying very hard to do this on keeping things open and letting you go where you want to go. Part of that is because we didn't feel like we always had that option in season 1. In season 1, Jeff is a wonderful storyteller. He's a linear sort of storyteller. He's got a very good structure to that, and was very good. Jared and I are a little bit more like you guys, where we like to just, hey, let's go over there. Why? Well, I don't know. Looks pretty. Let's go. And so when we were talking about doing this season together, that was one of the first things that we wanted to try to allow you to do is you can go where you want. It might not always feel that way, right? It might always feel like you have just like you would like when you're captured or surviving. Like if you're surviving in the middle of the wild, you can't just go where you want because you might die. But you still could, right? The choices are still there for you. We still have that set up for you that if you go that way. So that's kind of why we've built the islands like we did, is because you can literally go to anywhere on the map that you want to go. Now, we hope that you have a reason, and it's not just because that looks like a pretty place to go. Better reasons than maybe Jared and I had sometimes in season 1, but or I had, or Ugo had in season 1. But you can go wherever you would like.
It's so interesting. I was doing a lot of thinking about sort of the type of improv that D&D requires, and it is a very different improv than like improv, like like regular improv game, and it's pretty fascinating. I don't know that I had really like made it clear to myself why it was different or how it was different as I'm like dusting off my improv pants, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I definitely I learned a lot this week, but it was
Did you study the Herald much at all?
Yeah, I did do that.
So
yeah.
D&D improv is a lot more like the Herald than it is sports, than theater sports, right?
Yeah,
like it's
very
much on that side of things, for sure.
Yeah, it was just interesting, like, with conflict, not to belabor it, but to kind of circle back to what we were talking about with the Saints' decision to go. It's interesting because it's like, it turns out like you, at first, like this person is like saying, I'm going to do this thing. And we're all like, for various reasons, personal reasons to our characters, and then also maybe story, we're like, no, this doesn't really make sense, we should stay here. So we're essentially saying no to somebody instead of yes and but then we're giving reasons, and we're asking for reasons to convince me, and perhaps we didn't ask enough of the convincing. But it is interesting because then as more people get on board, because after a while you're like, okay, well, this person's not going to budge, I just have to say yes. And then I realized, I was like, oh wait, now I'm saying no. And so then I was like, oh, this feels so bad. I was like,
see, here's the thing that I've talked about with improv and D&D. It's not yes and, right? Like it's really hard to do yes and in D&D. Yeah. The way I describe it is yes, but. Right? Where it's I agree, but there's stipulations to it. Like, for example, and I think that's what you all were doing during the scene.
Yeah.
Yes, but this.
Okay. That makes me feel so much better. That makes me feel so much better because I honestly was like, oh my gosh, I'm making such a jerk of myself because I'm like so staunchly like against this that I'm saying a hard no.
Gamer Realm said season 1, Ugo and James was some great frustration for the characters because Ugo and James were both very much like, no, but this thing though. But I don't think you have thought of that through. Like, you didn't think about this. What about that? Well, I want to kill him. No. That kind of stuff. That's me saying no, but I'm saying yes, right? Because we're still forwarding that scene.
We're still moving.
We're still playing the scene. We're still moving it. We're still playing the plot. It's just, I have a different viewpoint because I'm a different character. And so part of that becomes convince me or show me why I won't be convinced. But that's still a yes. That's still making your partner look brilliant. And that's kind of how I try to look at it, is I'm always trying to make the other person that I'm in a scene with look brilliant. And I thought that you did a really good job of that with Saint.
Thank you. That's very kind. It's interesting. I like that. Yes, but. That's helpful, actually. Yeah.
Well, great. Yeah. I like that. Yes, and there is yes and D&D, right? There's definitely yes and D&D. You can play that. But it gets kind of silly really quickly with yes anding of D&D because like, yes, and now you can fly over there and do these things. We have rules, so it's hard to always say yes and, which is why yes but becomes a thing. Since D&D is a game of consequences, yes, but here's the consequences.
Yeah, I think I'm really grateful that our audience and our patrons and stuff have been so patient with me, both trying to figure out how to play D&D and then also finding Coco, because like I said, it was a real frustrating, but a real big gift that Jess gave Coco in particular with Saint's Choice. And so I'm still finding Coco and what Coco thinks and feels about these things. So it's good. I
I'm
think
with
it's
Gamer
going to
Realm
be
and Angel
interesting.
Devilson on this one. I think you've been doing fantastic.
You guys are so sweet.
You've been handling well, and I thought it was a really good choice to sort of pair Coco's not knowing things with your own. I thought that was a great character choice, right? It gives you a lot to work with. And I love that you're now trying to be like, okay, now that we've played with that a little bit and I have a little bit more knowledge and now I know what I'm doing, let's dial in on it a little more.
Yeah.
That's going to be, it's already chef's kiss. So
thank you so much.
A lot.
I am too.
And I'm also looking forward to the consequences of Saint's actions. I'm just saying, I'm looking forward to it.
I'm not super, but
our community is too.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Cool. Was that it? Do we have any other?
Oh yeah, we got a couple here.
Okay.
So Frank Lee wants to know, why do you think that you did not pursue to ask what Faelshin's ritual of the spine was, or ask him to identify specifically what he wanted to do with it?
Oh, because he wanted the spine, right?
That was his agreement with, if you remember. And again, this is spoilers, guys. On the cooldown, we always have spoilers. I should have said that at the top, but I think at this point we kind of know. If you're watching the Talkback episode from the previous episode, there's bound to be spoilers. But it was made clear that by Cristobal, that Cristobal had an agreement with Faelshin to bring him the spine.
Yes, I think honestly, like, I can only speak for myself, but I think I was so caught up in why is Saint choosing to do this? This doesn't make any sense. There's a storm coming. It's dark. It's scary. They just told us there are baddies in the forest. Like, this is not okay. So I think I was personally kind of caught up with that. The items are sort of it's interesting. We have a pretty good collection of items, and that is something, just as a player, it doesn't mean a lot to me yet.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I have to figure out, like,
them.
what does this even mean to me?
Jared and I have had conversations about that, of like, you've got these items that you can spend time and look into. We got various notes and papers that have been written that we wrote, and you've read once or twice, but not really dove into it. I think some of that is because you haven't had the opportunity to do so. You were trying to survive, and because you're trying to survive, it's hard to be like, let me sit down for a couple hours and read this page. Gonna be real hard to do that when you're freezing to death.
Or when somebody's trying to kill you,
right, or when a giant ice creature is chasing you through the tundra. Like, gonna be hard for like, guys, keep going, I'm gonna read this page, we'll be fine. But I'm looking forward to that. I hope after, and it'll probably be more clear once we get to the Hanging Gardens, but I hope that from the labyrinth on, it feels like a transition. The labyrinth itself was a transition, right? It was not just thematically, but in purpose. So I think you'll start, and now that Cristobal has a tower that he can just summon anywhere he wants, I think there's some opportunity in places to figure that out as well. So I think in the next couple of episodes, you're bound to start doing that just because you have the time now. And, there was part of me, just to be completely transparent, I was not ready for the transition to Hanging Garden next episode. I was not. Ron is, in terms of what happens there, but in terms of like painting and building and all of that, not ready yet. And so I've been like trying to catch up because you guys went there fast.
But we're not there yet. No, and I know that the bargain was to, do you have some like magical something that can like basically teleport us there? Is sort of like what Saint wanted. But we're not there yet. So it was interesting to me because I know that, like, just off the board as players, we're like, they said that we're going to have a lot of downtime to talk. And I'm like, are we? What aren't we like going there? Like, but I guess what we're hearing is that the Hanging Gardens isn't necessarily, and the sister isn't necessarily in like immediate danger. So maybe the Hanging Gardens is a beautiful hanging garden.
I don't think that Saint really does know whether she's in immediate danger or not.
I don't get the sense that Sansa is. even though I know she said that a while ago, I'm not sure why I don't think. I don't know. I don't know why I think
I
that.
love that you don't think she is, and
But it's
I
making
would,
me wonder, just as Carrie, like, oh gosh, I forget so many things. Maybe I've forgotten.
well, the only thing that you really know about Saint is that she's a twin.
Yeah.
Excuse me. The only thing you really know about Sansa is that she's a twin,
Uh-huh.
and that, as far as you know, she does not remember who she is.
Yeah, she was talking to Saint in her head and
Mhm.
had a connection, and
Yes.
she got to ask her questions, but didn't really know who it was.
Mhm.
And then I feel like I remember Jess saying that she was in danger, but then I feel like something must have happened that told me that she actually wasn't in danger.
Well, I think the fact that she doesn't know who she is and heard Saint's voice as some sort of foreign person that she should be resistant to, I think that is the danger, right? Like, I think that's what she's identifying as the danger. Because Will Meister says she shared her egg, and because Saint and Sansa shared an egg, I think there is a connection there that is that would ramp someone up more than if it was just your friend. You know, like when you're talking about my genetic duplicate, might as well be me. I think there is some, especially with Saint, and as innocent and sort of benign to the world that Saint has been. I think that, again, not a strong it's a strong choice, not a choice that was strategically advantageous, but one that was deeply rooted in character, and I love that Jessica made that choice, because it was, one, not the best choice, and she knew it, and two, one that's deeply rooted in character. So for me, I very much understood where Jessica was coming from and why she was making that choice, and I love her for it, because it allows me to and Jared to build consequences for all of you.
Coco did not understand why and does not know why.
Okay. And that's okay. Coco has not shared her egg.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't think anyone else has.
No, I don't think so.
And I think that was a beautiful, Will Meister says it was a beautiful analogy that Otto gave as a gift on why they were on board.
Oh, what was it again?
It was Sansa. It shared her egg. They came from one egg.
Yes.
This is her. That is.
Had we been told that they had shared an egg as twins?
Well, that was Otto's like viewpoint of it, right? From their perspective.
Okay,
again,
so that was like almost a funny gift that Serena had given us that day. Okay,
and she was like, doing the same thing that you were doing. Which, trying to figure out why this would be the case. Otto just found it be like, oh, you're twins. That's very rare in bird species. And because it's very rare in bird species, it's sort of this great omen, which it is in the elephant world as well. We just haven't gotten to that aspect yet. In elephant folk world, twins are very, very important. We'll see that in
I think you guys mentioned that. I think you guys did mention that.
We mentioned that twins is a big thing.
For what is she again? Yeah, elephant folk. Yeah.
Also sometimes known as the Lux or the Luxodons.
Luxodons. Yeah, that's what it is.
Where I think we're going to try to move it to elephant folk just to.
Oh, okay.
With all the OGL stuff, I would like us to work more towards generic rather than D&D specific words, just because of all the stuff that's going down with OGL.
Wait, what's OGL?
The Open Gaming License.
Oh, yes,
D&D
I've heard.
Yeah. A big change, and just to be safe, I would like us to refer to them as like owl folk and elephant folk rather than owlkin and Luxodon, because those are D&D specific words.
Honestly, it would be a lot easier for me.
And I think it would be easier for everyone in general.
Yeah.
Well, that puts us right at our hour. Let's see if we didn't, if there's... Oh, Frank had one more question. Does the spell locate item exist? And is Failshin able to cast it? Perhaps he would use that when he misses the stolen pouch.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. That's a question for you.
Locate item is definitely... Locate object is a spell. We saw it in the first season, or a version of it in the first season. It is definitely a spell. I won't. But
nobody has that, right?
Locate object is a level 3 or 4 spell, if I can remember off the top of my head. So I don't think anyone has it just yet. It's not a very popular spell to take, and I won't tell you whether Failshin can or cannot cast that, because that would be giving away what Failshin is, and I don't want to do that yet. So You'll have to watch and see what happens in episode 18. I'm excited to see what all the consequences of decision making are. I can tell you it's going to be fun. I hope you all will find it fun. I have a firm belief that you will. How is the specific location given? Will Meister, in locate object, it's got to be within, I think, 1,000 feet. And if it's within 1,000 feet when you cast the spell, you know its exact location.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you have to be a fifth of a mile from it.
It's sort of like an air tag, but not as specific.
Right. An air tag it's very much like an air. Actually, I have one in my wallet. It's literally like that.
I have one on each of my cats.
That's good.
It doesn't actually tell you exactly where it is, so that's actually a much better spell, even for a third level.
Well, it might be because your cat tags are GPS locations.
Oh yeah.
Whereas my air tag for my wallet is a Bluetooth, so it's only within a certain range. And when it is, it's like it's in that room over there. And then Tiny Misfortune says, "Do another painting stream, Ron." I do what I'm told, so sure.
What were you doing? Were you painting live? You were painting miniatures?
I painted last Saturday, not this Saturday. Saturday before last, I painted. I used to paint a lot more, and then I stopped streaming on Twitch. So I've started getting back into it. And I didn't do it last Saturday because we were recording something that I won't ruin that will be coming out very soon.
So great.
I'm excited about. So I didn't run my normal painting stream on Saturdays that I'm now getting to do because of that particular reason. But yeah, I paint. I typically stream for 3 to 4 hours. I'll paint until I'm done or until the time runs out. And if I'm done before the time runs out, then I'll pick up a game, usually whatever the people who are there watching want to see me or watch me play.
I'd love to paint with you sometime.
We should definitely do that. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
I'd love to do that.
There's also, I have an idea for like a painting talk show where we bring in special guests and we paint together while we talk about the things that they're there for. So it's like an interview while we paint kind of stuff. I think that would be kind of
I love that. You know, I had an idea a long time ago about some other kind. It was musical theater actors, but like it was like, let's go do a project together that doesn't really have to do with musical theater in particular, and like then talk about your stuff and talk about theater stuff, but let's do something and experience something together that's new, that we're doing it together. So that's cool. I love that.
Super cool. And also, I know that you and I, we were supposed to have a conversation about using minis in something. I still want to have that conversation.
Okay.
And now have more time to do so. So let's definitely have that conversation.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. Great. Yay!
Yay!
It's the greatest reason to have more time.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Yes, it is. All right. Well, I think that's it for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Once again, this is the Dungeon Cooldown. We would not be able to make this without all of you being so dedicated and watching. And also for those of you who do donate to us via Patreon and our interactivity during the show. Thank you so much for your time and efforts there. Those of you who show up and just have bodies in seats and eyeballs watching screens, you are also doing hard work, and we very much appreciate you. Please, anyone watching this, if you have not yet today shared that the Dungeon Run is an actual play that you can watch and convince people to watch, please do us a favor and tell one person about it today. That is the only way we're going to grow, be able to make even better content, is if you help us spread the word. So thank you very much for joining us. Kari, this was an excellent conversation, and I can't wait to have more.
Thank you. I loved it. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And as always, humankind. Be both. Stick around. I'll be raiding someone shortly.